consistency is good.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another round of Facebook Live Q&A with Jim. How are you, Jim, tonight?
Yeah, I'm good.
Going well. That's good to hear. So just to let everyone know, Wednesday, 7 o'clock, obviously, is the time we're doing this now. And I think we've decided moving forward that Wednesday at 7 o'clock works best for us. So we'll stick to that moving forward on a consistent basis, as long as everyone keeps wanting it. So next week, we might have a new setup as well. So if you do send in questions before, we'll actually be able to take those questions and actually populate them on the screen. So I'm hoping we have that live next week. If not, it'll be live the week after. So if you do submit questions, submitting before, and you actually have your questions shown live on the screen, which would be really neat. Letting you know about the logo generator comp, which we announced last week. That will hopefully be live by the end of Friday. So we've had to create a web page for it and all that sort of stuff. We haven't released it yet until the content's in there. I've created a bunch of videos for it as well. So end of Friday, keep an eye out for that. We'll let you know via the social pages, via Instagram and Twitter as well, and Facebook, of course, when that goes live. So get creating. If you've already done some Jim's logos, just make sure you use the hashtag Jim's logo comp so that when we search the hashtag, we can see them and judge them accordingly. And as always, if you're not following Jim on his social profiles, make sure you follow Jim on Instagram at Jim Penman. On Facebook, it's at Jim Penman Official. And on Twitter, it's at Jim Penman 2. And obviously, give us a YouTube subscribe as well. So if you just type in Jim's group into the YouTube search bar, we've got a lot of really good video content there. And we've got a videographer now internally now. So we're starting to really ramp up our content game. So there's going to be a lot of this great business advice content captured as well for you to absorb going forward. So 14 people or 16 people now have tuned in. So welcome to everyone and thanks for tuning in. And there's some nice comments here. So Rachel's joined. Hi, Rachel. Jet Candy's gone, g'day, Jim and team. As a young entrepreneur, your story is inspiring.
Good.
So it's very nice. And thanks for tuning in, Jet. G'day, Jim's Mamie. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Much appreciated. So let's get into the questions. So got a couple of interesting questions this one. I did show Jim these just before. Jim normally sits down 5 minutes prior to this, so all his answers aren't pre-done. They're all really raw. So Colin Harper via Facebook direct message goes, is it true that when Jim has business meetings with stakeholders in the business that he has an extra vacant chair representing the customer? So the focus is always on the customer, ?
Yeah, well, that literally put a vacant chair there. But in fact, if there was a vacant chair, it'd be more for the franchisee than the customer. We spend a lot more time talking about franchisees and what makes them happy than what makes customers happy. And in fact, if we talk about customer service, it's always in relationship to keeping franchisees busy. So if you have a problem with the customer, you get bad word around the place and you get less customers through. So therefore, the franchisees are less happy. But franchisees are always got to be top of mind when you're a franchisor. Any franchisor who screws their franchisees is just stupid, because that's what franchising is about. You've got to look after customers. Otherwise, you don't get the business to keep your franchisees happy. But the franchisees, the ones that we're short of. We've knocked back 1 in 4 leads these days. 180,000 leads plus last year knocked back because we just can't sign franchisees fast enough.
So the answer to that is we don't, but if anything, it would be a franchisee would be the chair.
Yeah, I'd like to think there was a vacant chair for our franchisees at any meeting that we have.
That's a good one. Thanks for that, Colin. And another question he asked, which I think was interesting, he goes, looking at succession, what strategy is in place to ensure business continuance for the Jim's Group should an event occur to Jim? This would be a high risk to the franchisees and franchisors. Colin.
Yeah. Well, I'm in good health. I turn 67 next month, but I'm still going strong. I have very good stable of managers now. Most of the Jim's Group is not actually run by me. I sort of wander around and talk to people, but the day-to-day is people like Joel and Liv in software development, and Yadrin in insurance, and John Stafford, who runs the sales and the support teams, and Eugene and so forth, and Cynthia in finance, Hannah in Jim's Plus. So there's a lot of very good managers we've got now. And also, we have an external financial advisor, Marcus Koch, who's extremely good. And the arrangement was, if I walked under a bus, for example, he would take over as the chair of a sort of a board of management, including my wife and a couple of my kids. So I'd like to think I make a difference, but there's a lot of strength to Jim's that it's not me. And in fact, I don't know what you think I do. Actually, I talk to people a lot, don't I?
You do talk to people a lot. I think people they think of the traditional CEO, which is sitting at board level and doing strategy documents, all this stuff, but that's not at all what you do.
No. My managers are pretty strong, run their own departments, and we just discuss things. Really, that's more the case. If I have an idea, I just go and talk to somebody and say, okay, what about this? And we talk it round and come up with it.
Yeah.
I would just hope that my biggest concern, I don't think the business would fall over in a hurry because it's got enormous strength. We've also got, close to 400 franchisors. So you've got a lot of middle management out there who have got a lot of commitment to the business. The biggest concern I would have is that we maintain the ethical stance, the long-term thinking. There's a lot of decisions that you could make in franchising, make yourself money short-term. But just, for example, if you terminate a franchisor, our policy is to sell the regional franchise. And we don't have to do that. And we could pocket $200,000. So if somebody was unethical, that you could do a lot of stuff that would be good short-term financially, but I think hurt the group long-term. And I'd be very concerned. But Marcus is actually a great guy. He's not only a very cluey business owner, but he's actually, he spends close to half his time working without pay for this missionary organization.
Yeah.
He's an incredibly clever, but also incredibly ethical guy.
Yeah. Very
deep-seated Christian principles. And I think as long as Marcus was around, you wouldn't see short-term thinking taking place.
No, that's a good point, Jim. He's a good man. He's a very smart man, and
we're
lucky to have him involved. It's really
we had a chat with him
we did
yesterday.
We had around a 2-hour chat, a hour and a half chat. So
he's really, really good.
Yeah, no, he's a good man. But there is something in place, if that makes sense, Colin. So I'll run on to another question here. Thanks everyone tuning in. Around 30 people tuning in and commenting here. So I'll run through a few of these comments on here. Jet Candy's left a question. I'll get to that in a minute, Jet. Sam Penny's left a question as well. Haydar Hussein has tuned in. Haydar, he's come back to the cold. I don't know if he's still in Cyprus or not, but he's come back from the cold, unfortunately.
No, I just reckon to talk to Haydar this afternoon.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully you had a good holiday.
We're going to meet for lunch next week sometime.
Oh, awesome. So Graham Moore's tuned in. Thanks for tuning in. Harpreet's tuned in on the stream. Matt Sheldon's tuned in as well. He says, hi, Jim. Jim's mowing Maroopna and Shepparton North. It's great to see you in the public eye more. My customers are commenting on that. And that there is a real Jim, which I think is a comment we get all the time. So that's awesome. I'll ask you a question there, Matt.
The book has been very good for us. This one here, I'm not sure everybody's seen it, but it's got us a lot of exposure, and which is great. We've even seen the leads to the call center going up. Yeah,
and then remember that book is available tonight as well, signed. So the best question that Jim thinks it is, he'll award this one. And if I'll pick out a comment or question, and I'll send out a signed one. So there's 2 books up for grabs tonight. So make sure you leave a question or a comment, and we'll get to it, and we'll announce it at the end of the night. And I'll answer your question there in a minute, Matt. Just want to run through a few that left them. And John Render's tuned in again. So John, thanks for tuning in. Tunes in every week. So it's profitable via Instagram. That's his handle. Why do you think there is a lack of interest in the service industry, especially when it's so profitable? This is a really good question.
Yeah, it is. It's a strange thing, There's all this talk about how you've got the, your high-priced, executive type, white-collar, jobs, and then you've got your bulk of your manual workers who are making almost nothing. But in actual fact, a job in the service industry is bang in the middle. A typical Jim's franchisee probably turns over, we think, about $100,000 a year, which is allowing for tax advantages and everything else is a pretty fair middling level income. Now some are making millions, but there's others that struggle. So, but that $100,000 a year seems to be about where they go to. I think it's a best kept secret, but so partly it's a bit of a snobbery to it. People are tuned these days. They want to go to university and then do a white collar job in front of a computer, which is really strange because we put a job ad in for say finance, and you've got for $45,000 a year, and you've got people queuing up. You get 100 applicants, half of which have got degrees. So people have this idea that you've got to go white collar, but in fact, I think one of my luckiest things, I went to be an academic, but I mowed lawns part-time, and I just stumbled into an industry where, because people don't think of that as being a great career, actually has tremendous opportunities. I mean, we say $60 an hour is what any franchisee should be aiming for, minimum, once they're experienced. We won't take a division that can't make that. And how many jobs outside senior management or professional type jobs like doctors and so forth are going to make more than that?
That's a good point. I think what you said about the snobbery, is a big one, right?
It's working with your hands, actually. What we find too is that divisions like computer services and bookkeeping tend to be harder to find work and easy to find franchisees. But the ones we really need, I mean, like our worst division now is fencing, which is, what's the figures? 64% unserviced?
Yes.
It's terrible.
That, yeah.
And fencing is a good business. I mean, it's hard work, but it's very good money, and work is unlimited effectively. It's a brilliant business. We just talk what we can do to get more fencing contractors. And you can build a big business too. You put a team on, and there's so many opportunities.
Do you think the dream of, like, I know there's a lot of stuff online now, if you look in Facebook feeds, these people saying, oh, you can work from anywhere in the world doing drop shipping, or you can start your own e-commerce store from anywhere in the world and live the dream and all that sort of stuff. Do you reckon that's getting in the way?
I think I think there's a prejudice against working with your hands. People don't want to do manual labor. So those of us who are prepared to go out and work with our hands have a fantastic advantage. There's a very interesting book called The Millionaire Next Door, which you should grab a hold of. People think that the millionaires are your yuppie executives and lawyers and tax accountants and all these high-flown people. But in actual fact, the typical American millionaire is a lot more like me, somebody who started off doing a job with their hands and built from there, or like me or many of my franchisees or franchisors. We are much more typical of what a typical millionaire is like than people's idea of it.
That's a book called Millionaire Next Door.
The Millionaire Next Door. Right. It's a great book. They put a dinner of these people that were interviewing them, and they laid out all these pâté de foie gras, all these fancy foods, and in this because they thought that's what millionaires want to eat. And all they wanted was sort of like beer and sausage or something. So the journos ended up eating all the fancy food because the real rich people, the people who got the real assets, tend to be fairly simple in their tastes rather than high-flying, corporate jets and this rest of it.
Yeah. No, thanks for that question. That's a good one. So there's a few people tuning in now. So thanks for tuning in. Drop us a like or a share or a comment. Just let us know you're here and we'll try and get to it. So I'll go through a couple of these questions left on the feed. So Jet Candy went... where is he? So what do you believe is a quality of successful entrepreneurs? So Jet's a young entrepreneur. What do you think successful qualities he should have, or hopefully he does have?
There's two things above everything else. First of all, you've got to have a genuine passion for customers, which is not just how much money can I make, but I'm going to look after this person well. I want to look after them really, really well. I care about that. I don't want to let somebody down, emotionally speaking, because it offends me to let somebody down, to not do a great job, to not turn up, to not call back. You got to have that kind of attitude. And the other thing is an attitude that says, I am going to every day do better. I'm going to improve what I do. And that means I'm going to do the job faster. I'm going to make it look better. I'm going to have better software. I'm going to have better systems. I'm going to travel, less time in traveling. I'm going to look at raising my prices. Nothing wrong with charging a lot if you've got plenty of work. I'm going to do everything I can every day to say, how can I improve it? And the best people are not those who have some brilliant idea. It's the people who all the time look at how to do things well. And the people that typically fail are the ones that say, I know it all. I don't have to listen to anybody. I don't listen to my franchisor. I don't have to listen to my fellow franchisees. I don't have to listen to Jim. I know it all. I'm good. So that person, we call them leads, and they're the ones that tend to fail because they just make all the stupid mistakes and they won't listen. And really good leaders, and if Haydar's still here, he's a perfect example. Haydar's a great guy. He's actually incredible, successful gyms entrepreneur. He's within the gym system. He's a divisional and a franchisor. He's actually one of the most humble guys you could meet. And when we talk, I learn a lot from him, but he'll learn a lot from me. And he's always interested in learning new stuff and finding out things.
Well, even when he made his own cleaning products, I remember he got frustrated. I think I got frustrated with their cleaning products, and they said, all right, let's do something about it. And they made their own gym's cleaning branded products, which were like natural and enzyme based and all this sort of stuff, which is that sort of entrepreneurial sort of.
There's quite a few. You look at the stars within gyms, the people that everybody looks up to, like Sharon Connell and Dogwash and Paul Comerford and people like that. They're actually, they don't come across as being bombastic, arrogant or anything. They're all learners. They're leaders who believe in something, but they're also always willing to listen, to learn, and to listen to advice and talk to their franchisors and their franchisees. And yeah, it's that kind of quality of, and I know it's not fashionable, but humility is a big thing. The willingness to say, I don't know everything. And I don't know everything, that's for sure. I learn a lot from other people all the time. That's one reason I like my franchisees contacting me. One of the struggles we have in gyms is getting people to talk to you. I write letters out and this kind of thing, like when the person's been in for a month, so I want people to talk to me. And then I hear things that are going on. Like we had a big thing about insurance, which was they drastically put, our underwriters drastically put our insurance up just at the time of the renewal for most of our franchisees. And that caused an absolute storm. And because people are emailing all over the place. So we've now gone hell for leather and we're working on a much, much better deal, which is going to reverse all that the ridiculous rise that went through.
That's a good question. So Sam Penny here has gone, what inspired you to start the gyms franchise? So we've probably covered this a few times before, but maybe just a quick little synopsis again.
I was already selling lawn mowing rounds, basically.
Yeah.
I went from mowing myself to having subbies to selling off lawn mowing rounds, and VIP came from Adelaide, and I was scared they'd just flood me. They were too big. So I just thought I'd franchise in self-protection. Yep. Also because I saw in their system I could see the point of it, but I thought, I had thought of franchising, but my biggest concern was that I wouldn't want to sell something I would want to buy. So I had to think, what am I going to give to franchisees ongoing that could justify them continuously paying me fees? And that pretty well, actually, but it wasn't obvious in the beginning. And then I saw VIP, and I thought there is some good ongoing benefit, but I reckon I can do something better.
Now, thanks for that question, Sam, and thanks for that. There's a few people tuning in, so leave us a comment, question, or a like. We'd be much appreciated, or even a share if possible. But let us know you're here in some way. Matt Sheldon, I'll get to one of his questions. He's a Jim's Mowing franchisee, and he's basically, this is a question about technology, so this would be a good one. What features can we expect from the new Jimbo app that is coming later in the year? Advertise seems limited in what it can do, and I'm looking for something that can easily send out reminder SMSs to customers and also automated marketing emails promoting seasonal work such as gutter cleans, pruning, etc. Is this something the new system may do? Cheers, Matt.
Look, to be honest, I hadn't thought about it, but I think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. We should put these things in. The things that we're working on right now, we want a system that's multi-platform that you can use on a mobile phone and the rest of it. But we also want other things, features that aren't in any system at all, like one that reminds you to ring a client back. Or when you ring a client, you can't get through, you just hit one button and it'll send a text, say, hey, this is Bill here, tried to ring you, please call me back about your lawns, whatever it is. And there's just so many different features. When you email a quote, we want to be able to send a text to follow up because people often lose their quotes. I notice this because I go through all the complaints, and that's one of the very common ones. And the franchise often sent an emailed it, but they've got a text to follow up. And then something like having when a job comes in, we want it to plunk straight into the database, so it's already in your system. And you want to find it, you just do like that, you tap, and you can call them. And if you don't get through, you tap and it'll send a text. It'll also record the fact that you called them so that you can prove it, so that as a complaint comes through, you can prove that you've done the right thing. So there are many, and look, I reckon marketing's a great one too. I reckon there's a whole lot of stuff. We have a big investment in this. As per the 1st of November, we get our technology fee. At the moment, it's going to Advertise, and that's going to be really, really good. So we're going to be able to put a lot of effort into doing everything that you guys want.
Well, I think the process we put in place with Jim allowing us to do it with the business analysis people doing it has been really good, because they've done it the first Jim's Jobs release update. We never had an update in years or whatever, and that's been really well received, which was great.
Yeah. And
that verified the process and what they're doing is working. So the key to this, Matt, is to get it mobile, get all the data back up in the cloud. So get that part right, make it the simple functions working properly first, and then add all these extensions in. So like a marketing CRM and all that sort of stuff from it's a really good idea. You can do it at the moment, like things like MailChimp. I know some people who do that with MailChimp. They'll export their client list and put it in MailChimp. Having that automated would be really cool. But you can do stuff like that at the moment. But we're on the right track, and the boys are doing a good job.
We want to hear from our franchisees too as we get things going. What we're hoping is that we're going to get more people just contact that we need this, we need that. But yes. the whole point too is to make the thing so it's really easy to use, which Jim's Jobs is much easier than any other competing program. And but also have all these features behind it that label you all kinds of neat stuff without having to learn anything different.
Yeah, we're definitely using some other platforms as well as guidance. I know that ServiceMate's one that's used by a lot of franchisees, and they have some custom solutions. So we're not just doing it based on our assumptions. We're looking at what's existing in there as well.
Yeah, what do you like?
Yeah.
I mean, it should be the best program around. We do a lot of things actually in gyms because we have so much feedback. Like trailers is a good example. You will often see independents driving a gym's mowing trailer or a gym's dog wash trailer. Why? Because they're the best. Because they're based on constant feedback from franchisees saying, we want this, we want to have the drainage hole a little bit bigger so the water goes out faster when I finish washing the dog. Now that's only maybe saving you a minute or two, but you add that up over the course of a day. You might be half hour a week you've saved. You can do an extra dog, you make an extra $60. So it's that kind of little detail, or even to make the trailer easy to clean, or so that it doesn't rust as much, or all kinds of constant improvements to say how can we make the best system, and our trailers are known as being the best in the industry.
Yeah, no, they're really, really good. Thanks for that question, Matt. That was a really, really good one. We appreciate that, and I'm sure the boys later in the year when it's getting closer will reach out for suggestions and all that sort of stuff. So Rob Duncanson here has gone, what are the 5 most crucial questions to ask a franchisor before buying a business? Thinking skip bins in particular. So 5 questions to ask a franchisor. I'm sure there's a lot.
You know what? I'd ask 5 questions, but I wouldn't ask the franchisor. I'd ask the franchisees. I'd get a list of every single franchisee in that system, and I'd ring as many as I possibly could. Because let's face it, the franchisor could be a con artist. And I'm not being negative. Most of my franchisors are very decent human beings who genuinely care about franchisees. But there's a few that I wouldn't buy a franchise from. So you need to talk to.
That's pretty honest saying that.
Yeah.
Obviously,
well,
that's.
We know that because we do these surveys once a year, and we've got something over 300 franchisors. And last year, I think we sent out about 12 breach notices because they weren't doing their job well enough. So it's not, even within gyms, it's not universal. Do your homework. I think when you're talking to your franchisor, one of the major things is do you get on with them? Because it's very close relationship. I mean, it's not family, but it's the nearest close thing. That's your mentor, your business coach, your advisor. You've got to feel comfortable with them. And if you don't, then you shouldn't buy a franchise. And you should get your partner involved too.
Yeah.
You should get your partner involved in it, your husband or your wife or whoever. But the main thing is talk to existing franchisees. I'm astonished that people can buy a franchise and they haven't done the most basic homework. We're not talking about weeks. We're talking about a couple of hours, maybe, making a few phone calls. They'll talk to you and they'll tell you, just honestly, what do you think of this? Is it a good idea? Do you regret doing it? What's the good things? What's the bad things about it? Ask the franchisees.
And those details will be made to them in a disclosure document. So
yeah, if you go to any franchise system, it doesn't give you a complete list of all franchisees with their full contact details.
And even finished ones as well. It's supposed to list the finished ones as well.
Yeah, even finished ones too. If you don't get that from any franchisor or in any system, do not touch it. I know there are systems out there. Most of them would do the right thing, but there are people who don't even give you that list. And that that you're looking at a bunch of crooks then if they won't give their list. Or if they demand a deposit first, they didn't ask a deposit.
Yeah.
They should just give it to you. Here's your list. It's the law. Yeah. And it's the one really good thing about the franchising code. I haven't got a lot to be said for the franchising code, but that is one aspect.
Thanks for that question, Rob. That was really awesome and tuning in. There's a lot of people tuning in now, so thank you for joining on the stream. Let us know you're here for like, question, or comment. We'll try and fly through as many as we can, but thanks again. So Mary Ann Pasol Donahue has gone, what can the franchisor do to better help you reach your goals? What can a franchisor do for a franchisee to help them reach their goals? That's the question.
Most important thing we find is to be a friend, to be in frequent contact. The best, the happiest franchisees are franchisors they get on with who are ringing them to say, how's it going? Not just how's your business going, but how was your anniversary going, and how was your kid at school and whatever. Because if you've got that relationship, then if a franchisee has a problem, they'll talk to you about it. So it's strange, actually. It's not the amount of time, it's the kind of time that you spend. You need to see your franchisor and your fellow franchisees face to face. But as a franchisor, so you need to make that so they come to meetings, so you get to see them, but you need to contact them as much as you can. Once a week is a good guideline. We only insist on once a month, but once a week is better. And you know, a new franchisee, you know, every day, not a bad idea. You know, they're out there and they're struggling and it's difficult sometimes.
So the answer is probably more regular contact, or maybe if you're a franchisee, if the franchisee will reach out to them a lot more. Or...
It can be very brief though. It doesn't have to be. Don't think you got to go. I mean, we've had franchises go out and spend a half day working with franchisees and they like it, but it's got no relationship to success. It's far better to take that 4 hours and make not a big job. Frequent, friendly, genuine contacts that make franchisees feel valued, and they ought to be valued, and it's got to be genuine. Good, the best franchisors and people like Sharon and Hannah, as I mentioned, are genuinely care about their franchisees. There's no doubt about it. You can see it in their eyes, the way they talk about them. They genuinely want them to succeed.
Thanks for that question, Marianne. We appreciate that. Cooper Weldon here has gone, hey, Jim, I'm developing a payment system that would make all of your payments more streamlined, efficient, and productive. I'd love to talk more about it. Proposals at jims.net. If you flick through your stuff there, I've got to understand, Cooper, we get a lot of offers and stuff, which is great. We love people reaching out. But your best way to do it is to flick the proposals at jims.net. Lorna Riley here has gone with a specific question as a franchisee. I'll read you this one. If we use our own Facebook page for our business, i.e. dog wash, why are we not allowed to put anything that shows we're part of Jim's franchise system on our pages? Surely this would also promote Jim's group also.
You can put it within the page, but not the heading.
Right. She says here we can't even show our shirts. She must be a franchisee.
Yes, you can.
Okay, well that's...
Who told you couldn't do that?
Maybe you let us know, Lorna.
You can't call your page Jim's Dog Wash. But if it's your personal page and you want to show pictures of yourself washing dogs or whatever on it, that's allowed. I mean, that's the guideline, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I know that's, look, some of them, some divisions are tight with what they allow with Facebook page and stuff to do to control.
Just, if you've got any particular issues, send me an email, jim@jims.net.
Yeah.
And I'll go through it. I'll talk to your franchisor about what's going on.
Yep, so that one there, Lorna's jim@jims.net. Email through that one to us.
Well, you should know that if you're a franchisee.
And Jim will get onto it, but thanks for letting us know and putting that in this forum here. I'll just run through some more here. Cameron Smith's gone, g'day, Jim and Joel. Thanks for tuning in, Cameron. Taylor Byrne, Taylor on Facebook has gone, do you use your PhD in your business?
No.
So for those that don't know, Jim's got a PhD in history. I don't know how it'd be relevant.
No, not at all. The only thing is that the only thing that's in common is that my PhD was incredibly innovative, unusual, radical, breaking with tradition. And my business does that too. So they're very similar in their attitudes. I'm an iconoclast in anything I do. But what I do with my PhD, actually, I run a research program, which is we're funding to tune about $1 million a year, which is basically to do with cures for mental illness and stuff. And that came out of my PhD work back in the 70s, early 80s. Yeah,
so you are using it, but in another avenue directly out to the gyms. So Brett Watkins here's gone, what is your favorite meme? So all those logos that we showed last week and the ones, what's your favorite one that you've ever seen? That's not a Jim's division. But
the one I liked was Jim's Hitman. They did that at a national conference one time, and they had this little white shirts with a black gun on it.
Oh, right. Okay.
So Jim's Hitman. That's what I like that one.
So there you go, Brett. Dan Cahill's gone, what was the best marketing ideas you had while trying to build your business? What was the best marketing ideas?
Well, it's different ages, you see. In the beginning, I used to use a lot of leaflets. That worked really well back in the like in the 70s and early 80s and so forth. I used to put my picture on the leaflets because they got more response, which is how the logo came about. It wasn't anything much thought out. But with time, things changed. Then we found local papers worked better, and then it was the Yellow Pages, and then it was the internet, and now it's social media and stuff, and I don't know. One of the best marketing ideas I ever had was to write this book, actually, or the first version of that one, because it actually it markets the Jim's philosophy to people, and we've had several cases of our best franchisees and franchisors have come in because they like the book. Yeah. So marketing to potential franchisees is incredible. I mean, Sharon Connell's a perfect example. She wasn't going to buy a cleaning franchise. And she said, I'm not a cleaner type of thing. And then she read the book and she said, I like this attitude. She came in, became a franchisor, and now she's running a division. She's got...
Yeah, so that book has done a lot of good work for you.
If we just got Sharon, that was all that book ever did, it'd been worthwhile. but it does actually attract the right people.
No, so thanks for that question, Dan, and thanks for tuning in. Jamie Byard's gone, is that a stubby holder you were necking? Yes, it is, but it's a water. It's not vodka or anything in there, so... Okay, running down here, so there's a few comments. So Lorna Riley said we were told by a franchisor, but she's going to send through an email to you. Jim's meme has gone, Dr. Jim. Yes, you are technically a doctor, Dr. Jim.
I don't use it in business sense. It's a bit...
You don't when they do the bank form, you don't put doctor instead of mister?
No, I call myself mister. The only time I used my PhD was an academic publication or something like that.
Okay, cool. So I'll run through a few more questions here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let us know you're here for like, comment, or share if possible. So a good statement made last week by Jason Pollock, who is a franchisee. He's gone, in my experience, having your leads from the call center transferred to you straight away on the phone has a 90 to 95% win conversion. In your mind, do you know that many franchisees still don't do that? Do a lot of them have the leads transferred directly to them?
I don't think most of them do.
Right.
But it's a bit difficult, though. It depends what you're doing. If you've got a quiet job, but how does a lawn mowing contractor hear his phone going off?
Okay.
I don't know how you could do it. I suppose you could hear the vibration, feel the vibration if it's on.
Yeah. Well, it depends the service, I guess.
Look, it's good, but certainly every second that you can delay, that you can, save in getting back to that client makes it more likely you'll get it. It's funny thing. It's this whole idea that everybody thinks it's about price. It's not. It's about service. Speed of response is much better than charging less. Clients prefer it, and it doesn't cost you anything. Because after all, you're going to make a phone call. Whether you make it 30 seconds after the call or 30 hours after the call, it's the same time. But you do it the first time, you've got 10 times more likely chance of getting the job. So isn't that a better deal?
Now, here's an interesting one. John Render's gone, we give out our business cards and fridge magnets. Why is it we can't put our mobile numbers on our trailers? So every trailer you'll see, or if it's a vehicle, will always be 131 Jim or 131546, depending on the country. New Zealand's different.
You could if you guarantee never move out of your territory. That's a simple matter of that.
Yeah.
And the problem with it is it's got to do with territory rights. That if you're driving through somebody else's territory and somebody gets your number and think, I want to go to Jim's, oh, there's the Jim's number, they ring you. Or put it another way, what if someone else is driving through your territory and it's a person who's next door to one of your clients who sees it, I'll ring the Jim's number because I've seen the Jim's guy who does such a great job in this street, say it's some lawn mowing, for example. So you've got a job in that street, you've done a great job. The neighbor looks at it and says, wow, that's fantastic. This other franchisee drives through the street, they look at, oh, there's the number, rings it up, and that person gets a job in your territory next to one of your clients. Now, would you be happy with that? Or would you think that was the right way to do things? Or would you rather they contacted you? Because if it's in your territory, it'll come to you, but not if they ring the other guy's phone number.
It's a territory issue. That's the main answer. Thanks for that, John. That's a good one. A few people saying they like the stubby holder. Where can they get them? This is some leftover merch, but we've got a bunch of merch I have ordered in.
Are we making stubby holders?
I didn't put stubby holders on the order. I put T-shirts and hats, but I haven't put stubby holders. But stubby holders should be quick to do. So if you want a Jim's Mowing one, let us know in the comments and we can try and get a few of these hooked up on the site.
Maybe you can do a Jim's Hitman one or something. Whatever's the winning meme.
Yeah, we will actually. With the winning one, we'll put a bunch of merch on, so I'm sure we've got some stubby holders, but we can get some merch in and see how we go. There's a couple of good little questions on here I just want to do really quickly. Hi guys, can you advertise in a Facebook closed groups that you run a Jim's business? So the Facebook group is closed. Can you advertise in that group that you run a Jim's business? Yeah,
as far as I know, the rules are that you can, and don't think I'm not an expert on social media. This guy knows far more than I do. But the rule is that you can put whatever you like within your, you just can't call it Jim's anything. That's all. It's just the balance between promoting your business is great, but we don't want you being people coming on and saying, oh, there's Jim's dog wash that I'm looking for, and then breaching territory rights. That's the fundamentals of it.
Yeah, that's the issue with it.
We're not fanatical about territory in Jim's because we sort of, allow you can give your business card wherever you wish to, or you can, but territory is very important. People are protective of territory. In fact, a lot of the aim for protection comes from franchisees who get upset about somebody coming into their territory and pinching their potential clients. Because territory is very valuable. Like if you've got several jobs in a street, your traveling time goes way, way down. That's so lucrative. And you want to be able to build your territory. You want to be able to have everything in your territory coming to you. Now, if it's a personal referral or somebody else, that's different. Say somebody's brother, whatever. But Yeah, I mean, my ideal would be that everybody has eventually every single job in their territory, because you'd make a fortune. You'd make an extra 30% income if you could do that.
Yeah, just by reducing the route and the travel time, right?
Because traveling is a huge cost.
Yeah.
If you could go into a street and just do every lawn in the street, or go after every pool, or wash every dog, you'd make so much more money and your costs would go down.
That's it. That's a really good question. Thanks for that one. All right, I'll run through a couple more. So I've got more different ones tonight and I want to end with, because...
Can I just point out about territory picking? It's not a franchisee versus a franchisor issue. In a sense, as franchisors, if there was no territory at all, it wouldn't worry us at all. We get the same lead fees. It's the franchisees who want to be protected, because it's in their interest to have territories working.
Okay, that's a great question, and thanks for those couple of questions regarding that. It's a really interesting one. It's something different we haven't had before. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Still, let us know you're here for like. I will get to a few more interesting questions now, which I've shown to Jim before, which I think will reveal a different side to him. But I'll get to one more on here, which is left. It says, "Do you follow the AFL, Jim?" If you watch this, we know and his team is the Buganda Gorillas.
Yes,
so right. The Buganda Gorillas. However, I go for Essendon. So if Essendon's watching, feel free to send us out a jersey. All right, so I'll go to here. So Charlie Jackson via Facebook asked, "Were you a teacher's pet?"
No.
You weren't a teacher's pet?
Absolutely the opposite. I was a rebel at school. When I was in my year 12, my best friend was suspended and told to stay away from me as a bad influence. We were very radical. We used to post things on notice boards. And
what'd you post on the notice board?
Okay, well, this is a church school in 1969 when I was in my year 12. And I remember put up once an article talking about how homosexuality was okay, for example. That doesn't seem much now, but you got to think this is 1969 at a conservative church school. They took it down and told me this is not appropriate. Also stuff about drugs and things, I think. I mean, I was a...
You're a wild child. I didn't figure that at all. I thought you'd been really good.
No. The funny thing is I became, much more conservative later on. In a sense, I was very radical at school.
I don't think many people would pick that about you, actually.
No.
That's
But I also had I was always the person who had the different point of view. You know, if everybody think one thing, I'd say argue for something else. I used to love going against the crowd, whatever that was.
Yeah. But that's sort of reflective in what you created with your franchising contract, for example, right?
Well, it's everything I've done is very radical. I was radical at school, in a not it wouldn't be the so type radical, but I was radical at school. I was incredibly radical at university with my ideas. That's why I never got an academic post. And Jim's is a very radical organisation. It's the only franchise in the world where you can vote out your franchisor. It's radical. You can even walk away, just pay a few $1,000s at most, and you can walk away and go independent. Who else does that?
Yeah.
These are all new ideas. You can change to a different franchisor if you're not happy with the service you're getting.
So we can thank your rebellious nature as a young man for this type of stuff.
I just think differently. That's all.
That's very true. That's very true. So I'll grab some more. So another final question from him goes, "What were your marks like? Were you actually good academically at school when you were younger?"
No, I was reasonably good. Yeah.
What were your best subjects?
I kept top of the school in English once. I don't think I ever topped my school in year 11.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a science fiction writer in those days. That was my great ambition.
A science fiction writer?
That was my, yes.
Okay.
I wasn't very good at it though, so I had a lot of tries, but I was mad keen on English, and we had a great English teacher, and I was very on fire for English.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Okay, so Rocco Lenny via Facebook's gone, "Can you cook? And what's your favourite thing to cook?" So are you handy in the kitchen?
Well, I can keep myself alive, and to my own satisfaction, not to anybody else's. My favourite food is barbecue, cooked on an open wood fire. I cook that a lot.
You do, yeah.
Yeah, I love a barbecue. We've got this different things, but I got these little schnitzels that you can buy from Woolworths, which are quite healthy. So we eat those, and bread and tomatoes and roasted corn, and not a great gourmet. But I love that. I love the open fire outside. That's my favourite food.
Open fire outside on the grill. I know there's been a few times Jim's had you've had the staff lunch sometimes at your house.
We had the lunch actually at my house once, because they brought the gas barbecue over because there were so many people coming to the lunch. But I had my little wood fire going with just open grill on the top, and people who tasted both of them and said, this stuff is so much better, this stuff on the open fire. So we actually put a lot of the stuff across there to cook it properly. So tasted the smoke and the... Yeah.
So we have Jim's mobile catering, but we've also got Jim's barbecue, wood fire barbecue at his house as well.
Yeah, I love barbecue.
Loves barbecue. Okay, so I'll go to a couple more here. So Brock Jones via DM on Instagram says, did you play sport as a child? So obviously we know that you don't follow footy or anything like that, but as a young man, did you play much sport?
No, I didn't. I'm not a sporting character at all. I played squash a lot.
Yeah,
we're trying to get a racquetball court for this place if the council ever gets around to allowing us. I've only been trying for 2 years, so.
Anyone watching from the council, hurry up.
Hate this council. Shouldn't say that.
Yeah, so I'll leave you one more here before we go. So Brett Watkins gone here. Have you ever thought of running? It's one we get a bit, and I love binging it up because I know Jim's passionate about it. He goes, have you ever thought of running for politics, Jim? You would make a better PM than the current options. Appreciate it.
No, I wouldn't. Politics is a rough game.
Yeah.
You cannot win. It's easier to be in business. You're in control of things, actually. I was speaking to our local MP, Tony Smith, who's the speaker, and I said, I don't envy your job. I wouldn't swap. I much prefer to be in business. I'd love to change a lot of stuff. I've been planning this book about some of my radical social theories and stuff. Trying to make Australia more egalitarian. I think the system actually it favours the well-connected wealthy over the ordinary person in the street. But I don't think that socialist redistribution is the way to do it. I think there's much better ways to do it, like property taxes and so forth. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I've got a lot of political ideas, but I'd never go into politics.
Yeah. So there's an answer. We get that question a lot. Jim for PM, we see all the time. So Darcy, we'll just end with there tonight, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And next week again from Wednesday at 7 o'clock. I'm hoping we have the logo generator up on the site by the end of Friday night. We'll let you know via a post on social media, and hopefully we have a really nice camera for next week. If not, it'll be the week after. And when you leave your comment or question, we'll try and populate it into the live feed for everyone to see. I'll just leave you this one, Jim. Darcy Combe-Varell says, he's just asking, what did you do for Easter? So I know you're very religious, but what did you do for your Easter break? Is that something it's something that's a really important time for you, or do you do much for it?
Family mostly.
Yeah.
We went to church, of course, which is, it's where I belong.
Yeah.
But mostly with family. I had my daughters who lives away coming back to them and spent time together. It was great. It was fun.
It's very nice. Okay, guys. So we'll leave it there. Let Jim go. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, sorry, the question, the one that was the best one. So which one did you like tonight?
Well, actually, there's a few I liked. I liked the one about the teacher's pet, and I liked the one about the succession. But I reckon the empty chair one was great. I think that's a really good question. What are you thinking about when you're talking amongst yourselves? I like that one. So
which one was that one? The Colin Harper one, the empty chair for stakeholders in the business.
Chair, yeah.
Okay, awesome, good one. Colin Harper, I'll DM you for your postal. The one that I liked, let me run through here. So for me, I like the one via the Instagram. I thought why do you think a lack of interest in the service industry, especially when it's so profitable?
That's a good question.
I think that's a good one. So I'll organise that with you guys. So Colin Harper, you will get this one. So DM us your postal address if possible, or I can reach out and DM you. And it's profitable by Instagram. We'll DM us your postal address and we'll send you a signed book. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Next week at 7 o'clock. Leave your questions or comments in here. If we didn't get to them, I will promise you I'll get to them next week. I always bank them up. And the ones that are left there, we put them on here and we lead off with the next session on that. So we'll see you next week at 7 o'clock on Wednesday.
See you then.
See you guys.